everybody. Welcome back at Rework It. Thank you so much for your wait. Thank you so much for being here with us. We had a little bit of technical issues, but we made it through. Jesus, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad we made it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, everyone. And thank you, Kladi, for being here. And I just like to apologize to everyone. As you can see, I had a camera issue. So last second, I had to take out my webcam from a drawer and put it on top so that I could see you guys. For some reason, my regular camera, the one that makes me look all fancy, decided not to work last minute. It was working fine, and then it went down. So I apologize for being late, but here we are for another Rework It. Claudia, do you want to let everyone know what Rework It is all about?
Yes, absolutely. So we're here on Adobe Live. First of all, good morning if you are on the side of the world, and I'm pointing at you, Jesus, because of course that's morning where you're at. Here in the UK, where I'm streaming from, is already afternoon. It's 3 p.m. And what we do at Rework It is that we look for your work, and of course we try to give you some tips and advice, and of course give you a big shout out to you and your portfolio on Behance. So we are here to rework your work. In fact, Rework is all about you. And let me share my screen real quick so I can show you how you can participate to Rework It, as we are currently looking for more work. In particular, actually, we're looking for a little bit of everything. We're looking for InDesign files, we're looking for Illustrator files, and Photoshop. But before I dive into my screen, I want to say hi to the lovely people in the chat who've been so patient and do deserve a big shout out. So hi to Sam, and thank you so much for informing everybody. Michelle, Ferry, Steve, ciao, nice to see you. Kiran Preet, General Kenobi in the chat. Anurag, thank you so much, everybody, for being here and bearing with us through the technical difficulties. RB, nice to see you. What's up? Fantastic. So, right, I'm going to jump into my screen real quick. And again, I'm so sorry if the layout today is going to look a little bit wonky. I'm going to try to, go through the entire stream. I'm going to try to show you and perhaps adapt it. But today it's like that. Today is a little bit of a... Yeah, we can see a little bit of extra line of Jesus Studios. But I'm just gonna turn off just real quick so I can show the screen here.
Definitely.
And what I wanted to show you is how to apply for Rework It. So in order to apply for Rework It, all you have to do is head on iamkladi.com/reworkit, and on the landing page you'll be able to click on the submit your design blue button. From there you'll be able to access this form, in which all you have to do is to give us your email address, your Behance profile. You can upload your work. If for whatever reason your file is too big, you can just upload like a JPEG or a screenshot. We're gonna get back to you with a full Dropbox uploader where you can place your files, of course, your Illustrator, Photoshop files, and any other file that you use during the work. And of course, you can tell us which app have you've used. You don't only have to use Photoshop or Illustrator or InDesign. You can use many different apps. Just let us know the one that you used. And of course, if you have any question, if you just want to show off your portfolio, or if you have any specific question regarding your project, this is a perfect place when you can tell us more. And of course, click on submit, and we're gonna come back to you with an email, say, hey, congratulations, you're gonna be featured for the project. Jesus, I don't know if you have your screen ready with the work. If so, we're gonna jump into your screen. And
yeah, definitely.
Perfect.
And just to let people know, because I see Barry asking, where's Jesus? He disappeared. As we said earlier, I was having camera issues, so I had to swap out cameras the last minute, so that gave no time for Kladi to do the cropping on the green screen. So I don't know if we're going to be able to bring me back up.
Yes, you're back up. You're back up. I'm just trying to fix it while we go. So hopefully you just start talking. We're on your screen.
Yeah, and Steve is right. I am in San Francisco, just outside of San Francisco. So yes, you are correct, Steve. Okay, yeah, so I don't know if you can see my screen, Claudia?
Yes, we are on your screen, and we can see you as well. Pretty much almost done doing everything.
You are on my screen, and so we can see us as well. Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is the image that we're going to work with today. Is by an artist named Abraham Allen from Pakistan. Let me show you his Behance. There he is. You can find them at Abraham Allen on Behance. That's also his Behance profile. And as you can see, he only has 2 projects at the moment. He has the one that we're actually, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong profile. Sorry, I think that's the one for tomorrow. The one for today, I apologize, is I opened up the wrong profile for today. Unfortunately, today's artist doesn't have a Behance. I apologize. So we are giving shout outs for Abraham for tomorrow's stream, but today's streamer decided, or not streamer, artist doesn't have a Behance. His name is Nashad Ganwar. He didn't really say where he was from. He just submitted the work and said, he just said he wanted to make the files much better. And the reason that I chose this is because there's a couple of things in here that we can definitely improve and make better, but with not a lot of work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to expand the panels. You guys probably know that you can expand panels just by clicking and dragging in between the lines like you see here. And yeah, that's a spoiler, General Kenobi. But yeah, so these are the layers, and what you can do is you can click and drag on a panel and drag it out if you need to see more layers, and that's what I'll do. I'll click and drag it out and expand it so we can see all the layers that he has here. And by the way, notice right now that I really can't move the canvas anywhere. The canvas is locked in the center, and the reason that this particular canvas by default is not moving around is because we don't have the overscroll enabled. So you can press Control Key on Windows, Command Key on the Mac to bring up the preferences panel. And under tools, there's this option here called overscroll. When you enable that, that would allow you to hold the space bar, and then you can move the canvas outside of the viewable area. So what overscroll does when it's disabled, it just keeps your canvas locked to the center, and that's good sometimes. And sometimes, like in this case, when I want to pan over the canvas, I can't do that. So I have to enable overscroll. So I'm just going to put this here, and then put the layers panel like right here on the side, and see how now I have another panel. And the only reason I'm doing this, first of all, is to show you guys that you can do this. It might be beneficial for certain things, and also so that I can show you the layers that this particular image has. So again, I've showed you this trick before. You can click and drag down like so, and then you can disable the layers. And looks like it looks like they're disappearing. Yeah, I just was concerned that they were not disappearing. So let me click and drag down, and you can see all the stuff that he has. So we have a simple background created by just a gradient overlay and a layer style. That's totally fine. He could have done it with a gradient adjust a solid color layer as well. That works, either or. And then we have these design elements. It looks like these are pixel layers. I would have made these into vectors so that they're sharper and you have more flexibility in terms of manipulating them without creating any weird edges. But these are fine. And if you're wondering on how to do that, well, you can just come in here and select something like the rectangle tool, make your rectangle, and then from the properties panel, you can click and drag on these icons to create the curved edges. You can see that there. And then also from the properties panel, I was looking for the layers panel. I forgot I put it here on the side. And also from the properties panel, you can, or from the layers panel, you can give it whatever color you want or apply a gradient or whatever. But the point is that that's the way that I would have done it. I'm not going to take the time to do all these little lines in vectors because we don't have a lot of time since we started late and Kladi needs to get to her project. But I would highly recommend that you would use vectors for these type of elements. Again, a vector allows you to have the sharpest possible edges and their resolution independence. You can stretch them out. You can stretch the image out as much as you want without creating any blurry edges. So I would have gone for vectors. And let me see what else I have here. Let me zoom out or bring this down rather so I could see the entire image. I'm not sure what this is adding. Usually if I can't see what a layer is adding, what I like to do is hold Control on Windows, Command on the Mac, and click on the layer thumbnail. And notice that Photoshop tells me, warning, no pixels are selected. In other words, there's no pixels here. So I'm a big fan of being organized and keeping things clean. So I would just delete that layer because it has nothing there. Also talking about organization, what I would do is I would also put all these into a group, Control G on Windows, Command G on the Mac to put them into a group. And I would just call them design elements or whatever it is. As we've talked in previous Rework It streams, I like to name all my layers in groups so that I can right click on them and select them from the canvas. So if you have the move tool selected, you can right click on something and it'll tell you the name of the group that it's in. You can see that design elements, and then I hovered over layer 3, copy 3. I wouldn't keep that name, but I would just call it maybe design element 1, 2, 3, or left, middle, center, or whatever. But always try to be organized. And then he created these circles, which again, they work, they look great. He used the drop shadow effects on these to create that effect. I think it looks great. Again, I would have gone with a vector, but you know, this looks fine. But vector would definitely be the way to go. And then we're gonna go into the main character. So a couple of things here. With the, and I don't know if this is the artist or not, but with the main character, we have a lot of issues. We have this drop shadow effect, which is okay, but I wouldn't keep it in white, and especially like that, because it just looks like a bad masking job, right? Like, he actually did a fairly good masking job. Well, I don't want to say good. There's, you zoom in, you can still see that there's a little bit of fringing, and we'll work on that. But this effect that he applied makes that fringing and that halo effect even worse, in my opinion. So it doesn't seem like it was done on purpose. It just seems like a bad cutout job to my eyes. So I would either change the color, increase the thickness, maybe only have the effect on one side, something that lets people know, oh no, the masking was good. This was just an intentional artistic choice, which in my eye, it doesn't look like it. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. But what I would do is, first of all, fix the masking. And talking about masking, he didn't mask the layer. Notice that all the pixels are gone. And that is not good to delete your pixels, because look at this. Look at right here. Look at the mistake that we have here. See how he cut into the shirt like that? That we would need to bring back. But if we don't have the pixels because we deleted them, then that it's going to become a problem, because we either live with that hole in his arm or we have to patch it back in, which takes a lot of time to make it look good. So always try to use a layer mask. Don't delete pixels. So working non-destructively is essential for working in Photoshop. So working non-destructively simply means that whatever effect that you apply, you have the ability to edit that in the future. In this case, for cutting out images. Yeah.
No, sorry, I'll let you finish, and then
Yeah.
there is a question related to it, but please finish.
Yeah, so working non-destructively simply means you can always go back and make changes. For cutting things out, you would use a layer mask or a vector mask. If you're applying a destructive or transformation effect, I should say, you might want to convert the layer into a smart object so that you can always come back and adjust that transformation. Smart objects also allow you to apply adjustments, distortions, and filters non-destructively. So consider using those tools or adjustment layers to work non-destructively, so that you can always come back and make changes to your image. And yeah, what was the question, Claudia?
Yeah, no, it was exactly regarding the vector elements in Photoshop. Betty Brooks was asking, that is a very interesting topic for her, and she would like to know more, especially how to create a vector element in Photoshop.
Yeah, Betty, all the vectors in Photoshop can be found in this menu here. You can see that we have the rectangle, the ellipse, the triangle, polygon, line tool, and the custom shape tool. All of these will generate a vector. And for example, the custom shape tool gives you access to all these shapes here. And by the way, if you go into Window and Shapes, that'll bring you to the Shapes panel. And if you want to get all these shapes that I have here, make sure that you click on this icon and go to Legacy Shapes and More, and that will load all the shapes from previous versions of Photoshop, not just the current one. So you have access to all these different things. So for example, you can see the ones that I use a lot are the arrows for different things. So with an arrow, I'm still looking for the layers panel, and it's over here. With the arrow, you see, there it is. There's my arrow. And I can change the fill. So maybe we can have like a red fill, and we can have maybe a black stroke, and I can control the thickness of that stroke, and you know, the type of stroke that we have. Is it dash, is it dotted, and these different things, and also the gap in between the line. So maybe we can say we can have a dash of 2 with a gap of 4. So see that? Or maybe make it 6 with a gap of 1, and you know, you can create different effects. Totally up to you. So vectors is definitely the way to go. So that's how you would get all your vectors. Also, you can create your own custom vectors, and you would do so by, oops, let me just commit to that change, and then I can just delete it. There we go. You can also create your own custom vectors by using the pen tool or the curvature pen tool. I prefer the curvature pen tool. In my view, it's easier to use, but you can also use the pen tool. And the way that it works is you can just start creating a shape. But right here, notice that when you do, nothing really happens because I made a path. So make sure that you're in the shape mode, and then you can select the fill. So I can select a red fill, and then I can select a black stroke, and then I can make my own custom vector shape. So you can use the vector shapes that come loaded into Photoshop, or you can use the custom shape tool or the curvature pen tool to create custom shapes. So yep, I hope that answers your question, Betty. But yeah, so let's work on fixing. Let's work on fixing this cutout. Unfortunately, like I said, the artist didn't use a layer mask. So we're gonna have to create a layer mask and then contract it and then try to fix the edges. See how the edges are really jagged? See that? This is another reason why you want to use a layer mask, because if you need to fix these things, if you delete the pixels, you won't be able to, I mean, you will, but it won't be as good. And you'll see what I mean by that. So if you ever come into this situation, you're working with somebody else's file, this is what you get. This is how I would fix these edges. So first of all, I will hold Control on Windows, Command on the Mac, and click on the layer here that holds the person to load it as a selection. And by the way, now that we're not analyzing the layers so much, what I'm going to do is just bring it back into its position there so we have more room to work with. But anyway, so what I'm going to do now is simply click on the layer mask icon here, and it will create a layer mask, as you can see there, and it looks exactly the same. But what I'm going to do now is contract this layer mask, bring it in just a little bit. So I'm going to go into filter, other, minimum. The minimum and maximum filter are filters designed to work with masks. They allow you to minimize or maximize a mask, contract or expand. Minimum filter contracts. Make sure that you select preserve to roundness and then just adjust this accordingly. So just maybe bring it in about, maybe we'll say something extreme like 2 pixels in this case. That might be too much, but we need the room to work with because we don't have the pixels outside of the edges. And I'll press OK. So now, and it looks about the same, right? But what I can do now is actually come in here and I can go into the selected mask workspace and I can adjust the smoothness slider and see how it's smoothing those edges. See that? They don't look as jagged anymore. And I would have not been able to do that before contracting, before minimizing the mask, because there would have not been any hidden pixels. I think hopefully that's clear for you. So basically the mask was right on the edge over the pixels exist. So there's no pixels outside of that. So this would have not worked. So I had to contract it a little bit to give myself 2 pixels of wiggle room so that these sliders work. So once I do that, you can see that I have a much smoother edge on his arm, and I can increase the contrast a little bit. What contrast is doing here is making the edges sharper. And then I can press OK. And you can see that we have a much, much better edge. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do much for his hair because, again, if you remember, the original image just looks like that. So the hair command in Photoshop in the selected mask workspace wouldn't necessarily do anything. So if you wanted to make this part more realistic at this point, what you have to do is create a new layer and then just do everything manually. So just select the brush tool and bring the size down to maybe like 1 pixel. And actually, that's not the right brush that I wanted to use. I wanted to use maybe a brush like this and increase the hardness almost all the way up. And select the brush tool. I already have that selected. Hold Alt on Windows, Option on the Mac to select the eyedropper tool. Click. And now I can just do it manually, start creating hair strands manually. And obviously with the mouse, it's going to be take much longer. But if you do have a Wacom tablet, and I have one right here, you can see, here it is, Wacom tablet, you can get better results. So let me just try it with the Wacom tablet because you do get better results with the Wacom tablet. So let me, whoops, those are not better results. Let me undo that. And I can come in here into the options here, go into shape dynamics and make sure that size jitter is set to pen pressure, and I think that will give me, yeah, much better results. Perfect. So let me try that again. So I can come in here and kind of follow the flow of his hair, and then try to, just create a couple hair strands. And, I'm not going to be perfect because it's a stream, but I think that you get the idea, and the harder I push, the darker the hair strands become. But for something like this, I would recommend a tablet. I have a Wacom tablet, but there's other tablets out there that you can use as well. Let us know in the chat if you have a different brand of tablet and what you recommend besides Wacom. I know Wacom is the most popular, the ones that most people use, but I believe they're also among the least affordable ones. So let us know what other alternatives you have.
I have a question for you, Jesus. When did you start it? When did you start using a tablet? Like after how long? Did you start it right away when you were start designing, or?
Oh man, yeah, good, very, very good question, Kladi. I was late to the game, well, that's not true. I bought a tablet early on in my career, but I never really liked it. Because I got so good with my mouse. I used the mouse maybe like the first 2 years of me being in this profession, and I got so good with the mouse, like really, really good with the mouse, that making that transition was difficult. And even to this day, like as you can see, I have my tablet here ready to roll, but a lot of times I'll just stick to the mouse because I just got so comfortable with it. And I do recognize that for situations like the ones you just saw, using a tablet is much better. But, it was so difficult for me to let go of the mouse. And in some ways, I'm still relying on it. But I would highly encourage that you force yourself like I had to, because for situations like this and many others, using a tablet just gives you better results and it makes your life a whole lot easier. Okay, so Steve is saying he has and I don't even know how to pronounce it, a human rocks at half the price of a Wacom. There you go.
Have you ever tried anything else beside the Wacom?
Not me personally. Have you?
No, I went from like a very tiny bamboo, which I think my dad bought me when I didn't even know that I wanted to be a graphic designer, and then I went to a larger pen and touch, and then I actually won. I won a cash prize at Amazon because I won something with a PlayStation Sony. I was part of a competition at uni with PlayStation Sony, and I won like a prize of £800. So first thing I did is went and bought like the largest tablet that I could get. So that was my first experience throughout the Wacom. But as you know very well, I've been using the trackpad. So even forget the mouse. I was stuck on the trackpad for a while on my laptop because I was traveling so much. So
yeah, and there's some people that get good with the trackpad, which to me, I mean, I don't know. I cannot. I only use a trackpad if I'm teaching. Like, I could use a trackpad right now. But besides that, I really cannot use the trackpad. And looks like a lot of people are using the Huon, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, I'm just not familiar with it. X Pen. So it looks like there's different alternatives that people are using besides the Wacom.
And since we're on the Wacom, before we change topic, I'm just trying to cover the questions that usually people send me when they approach a topic of Wacom tablets or tablets in general. And I'm just going to share my experience real quick and ask you. When I started, I worked with a tablet on the right side, and it just took me a couple of months to get a hold of it. And now I work with a tablet in front of me. So I will have the keyboard and then the tablet in front of me. And it just became natural. But it took like about a couple of months of being uncomfortable, and then it just became very comfortable to deal with a pen and touch. What about your experiences?
Yeah, I like using it in front. I can't, to the side feels weird, but if it's in front, I think that's the way I like using it.
And did you start it right away? Was it hard for you to get used to it?
Oh no, no. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I'm still not 100% used to it. I like I said, I got so good with the mouse that I sort of had to force myself at one point. I forgot exactly what project I was working on, but it was a project where I definitely needed to use a Wacom tablet, and I kept using the mouse because I was quote unquote faster. But ultimately, the work was not as good as you saw here in this example that I was just showing you guys. Just with the hair, it would have been so difficult to get this, to look. I'm not saying that this looks perfect or great, but it looks much better than what it did when I was using the mouse. So for a project like that, I had to really force myself to use it, and then I kept forcing myself. And actually, what I did is that I kept using the Wacom even outside of Photoshop. So I would use it to like, check my email. Like I was just using, like I put the mouse away and I just kept using the Wacom tablet for all the applications, just so that, I was forced to use it because my habit was just pick up the mouse and not the Wacom.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's a great way to get the habits, because you just need to practice. It's going to be a little bit stiff at the beginning to get used to work from a mouse to a pen or to a touch tablet, but then it as anything, it just takes a little bit of practice. And Steve was saying that it was recommended that Huyon, I believe it's pronounced, I don't know, by a pro artist in Scotland who was swears by the brand, and she was right. Well, that's so nice to hear different brands and what sort of experience everyone has. I never used it with a Windows. I always used it with a Mac, but I don't think that's any difference at all. Just a different driver, different software to run.
Right.
Fantastic. So.
Right. Just one last thing on this, and because I know we're late and you gotta go on your thing.
Yeah.
But basically the last thing that I was talking about is the drop shadow. So I wouldn't keep it white. I would, maybe change it to like, I don't know, maybe like red or something like that, where it's still, where it's still bright, but it's not really white, because then that makes it seem like it's not, like it's not really the part of the masking. So, I would do something like this where, it's not a white blurry outline just because it looks like a bad masking job. I'm not saying this is the best design ever, but I think it works much better than having it white. Or maybe you can even go with like a darker color, like so. Something that's just not white and blurry. Again, that looks like a masking job to me, but you might like it. So at the end of the day, do what looks good to your eye. And there's obviously a lot more that we could do, but I think it's time to get to your file, Kladi.
Yes, although I'm going to mention to everybody that now that we're going to move into my screen, I'm going to still have to do a little bit of adjustments to today's setup. As we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, we had a little bit of a tech issue, so thank you so much for bearing with us. And I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. By the way, if you are watching from YouTube, make sure to tune in on behance.net/live so we can say hi to you and reply to all your questions. I can see more people from the UK. Hi, Richard from Liverpool. And then Ferio Tuomo, always with us, Michelle, Sam. Thank you so much, everybody. And I can see Steve and Sam and everybody discussing about the tablets. That's so cool. Amazing. So I'm going to try and jump on my screen, and we're going to move right directly into today's artist, which is Anna Bichel. So let's see what this is going to look like. So Jesus is not here. It just disappeared for a second. I'm going to bring it back. Oh, here we go.
Here. It's okay.
So it looks like cropping was already there. So I just have to zoom in a little. Fantastic. I'm going to do that for the other side. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for bearing with us. Now you know a little bit of behind the scene of what I do usually.
And that's the beauty of live streaming. You just never know. We were just, usually before we started the stream, Kladi and I are essentially, we're doing a Zoom call is what we're really doing. And we're talking to each other. Next thing you know, my camera goes down and we had, we are literally getting ready to press live, and my SLR
and as soon disappeared. You just said come.
And I disappeared, and I tried to fix it, and I couldn't fix it, so I had to dig out this webcam that I just had put away. So I had to plug that in, set it up more or less where the other camera is, and that's why we were late. But now I'm worried because I have to figure out what happened to my real camera.
Well, you look great. You look great from this one as well. Next time we have just to fix the light perhaps, but we're good to go. That's fantastic. And also these scenes are looking great as well. We are on my screen. As I mentioned, today we have a photographer and designer, Anne Bichel from Switzerland. By the way, I'm going to have a little bit of a challenge because today's project is in French, and je parlais un peu français, un petit peu de français, mais je suis beaucoup meilleure en italien, anglais, and l'espagnol. So I do speak a little bit of French, but just English and Spanish are usually Italian, the language that I go for. So I'm just going to stretch a little bit with French, but we're going to try. That's the beauty of our international community. And by the way, let us know where you're watching from. We're always super excited to see where everybody is watching from. And before we start opening the InDesign file that Anne has shared with us in order to rework it together, I just want to show you real quick again how to submit your file, because we are looking for files right now for the next episode of Rework It, make sure to add on iamkladi.com/rework it, and you will find that Submit Your Design tab. From here, click on Submit Your Design and fill in the form with your email address, your Behance if you have one, and of course, your file and your work. For whatever reason you cannot upload your file, just give us a screenshot, give us a JPEG, and we'll be back with an uploader file where you can drop all the different assets that you have used to create your project. So again, iamkladi.com/rework it, and click on the Submit Your File button to access the form and submit your work. Fantastic. So now that we did that, it's time to open the InDesign file. And this is the InDesign file that Anne has shared with me. I am sure it looks like there are more images missing. Let me know, Jesus. Feel free to interrupt me at any time if there is any questions or any comment in the chat.
Yeah, Steve is saying that you speak 3 more languages than most viewers.
Un petit peu de français. I'm gonna try. I really embraced the project though, because it's always nice when you can get into a little bit of French. And yeah, let us know in the chat.
Do you speak all the romantic languages, or are you missing some?
No, I'm definitely missing some, because there is a little bit of Eastern Europe as well that is still comes from there.
You're missing Portuguese.
Yeah, definitely missing Portuguese, and there is Romanian as well, and there are like dialect which are knitted in between French, Italian, and German. German, all I remember saying is like, I'm a student. Ich bin eine Schülerin. That's as far as I can go.
look at Steve. I mean, Steve, I don't speak any French. So I don't know what that says.
Well, vos français c'est très bon. Merci, Steve. Me and Steve, we speak in Italian, we speak in French. Welcome in Paris. Yeah, should have wear like a striped t-shirt. Maybe we can do that tomorrow. But let us know in the chat. Why don't you put like a little flag in the chat to let us know what language you speak?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Let us know what languages you speak in the chat with emojis.
And you can participate as well, Jesus.
Yeah, and sorry for like completely stealing your idea. Cutting you off and stealing your idea.
That's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's get started with the InDesign project. So the very first thing, and again, I was thinking to adjust it so it looked better when we opened it, but that's the beauty of the live, and that's what rework is all about. If things don't look okay, we're here to learn together. And as I say all the time, this is a safe space where we can learn new skills and sharpen our techniques with the amazing Adobe Creative Cloud apps. So certain things don't look right, we're gonna have to fix them, but let's see how do we solve these problems together, because that's the reality. When I open the file, right away, the first thing that I can notice is that we have the text that is highlighted in pink. That means that the font is missing. Also, we have a lot of question marks next to the images, and let me zoom in so you can really see how that looks like. So we have a little red icon with a white question marks. We can still see the image, but it's pixelated. In this case, we have this lovely illustration that I don't know if Anna's created herself or she used it maybe from another artist. Sorry, I was just very curious in the chat looking all the different languages that everybody can speak. Sean, you speak Latin? That's amazing. I did study in school, but just a little bit too hard to keep up with it. Fantastic. So, Jesus, you speak Italian? We're gonna have to hear some Italian at some point.
Like a 4-year-old.
No, you're really good. You're good. He's actually very almost proficient in Italian. Fantastic. So the thing that we can say is like we have a font missing and we have the images missing. The reason why is because when Anne has uploaded the file and saved the file, it seems like she packaged it, because we did see I did see an InDesign file, a PDF file, and a template file, although we were missing the main folder. So when I'm talking about packaging, let me show you what I'm talking about. Packaging is the most professional way to export your file when you're sending it to print or share it with your with your colleagues, with your friends, with your art director, with your clients. I will always suggest whenever you're sharing an InDesign file to use the option of save it as a full InDesign package. And let me show you how to do that and what that will generate. Of course, this file doesn't have everything that we require, in particular fonts and images, but I want to show you how to do that and then the reason why. Once you open your file, click on the file menu And from here, you have the option to click on package, or you can also use the shortcut, which Asus usually said you can bang your head on the keyboard in order to make sure that you don't miss any of the keys, which is option Shift Command P. That's of course Shift Control Alt P if you're working from a Windows machine. Once you do that, you're gonna see a dialog window coming up. Right away, this window is gonna let us know that we have some issue here. That's why you see this little emergency icon. We have 9 fonts there missing. We have 17 missing images. This is an issue with this file because of course, you know, we're already talking about the problem that this file doesn't have the images linked. But when you do package a file in InDesign, InDesign will bring together all the assets and the element that compose the file itself. So all the fonts, all the images, everything will be embedded inside a folder that will come inside your main folder of a package. And in fact, you'll be able to go through and the different tabs, so you can check all the links, the images, the colors. You'll be able to check through all these different assets, and you'll see if there is an error. It will tell you right away, and it will give you a chance to fix it. So whenever you share it, in particular if you're sending your files to the print, do not expect your printer to have the same file that you have in your machines. I know that the amazing Adobe font library, we're going to look at that in just a second, has a fantastic choice of font. But if you have designed your work to be with a selected font, there is a specific reason why you've done that. You want to make sure that that gets retained until you actually print your file. So you really want to make sure to save it and embed it within your packaging files, so the printer will have no issues when opening your file. So in this case, once you click on package and you checked and you make sure, hopefully in your case, you do have all the fonts and images that are still in your file, all you have to do is to click on package and then make sure that you save your current version of the file. And from here, I'm just going to choose the desktop and click on package. And I'm going to zoom in just a second. Here you also have an option to select what sort of assets you can link up. I will definitely copy the fonts, copy the link graphics, and any updates to the graphic. When it says IDML, that's just a way for InDesign to create a template. So when you create a template file, an IDML file, you're going to be able to open, and I keep calling Michelle because I see Michelle in the chat, and I was talking with her on Instagram today. We were talking about how to create fonts in Illustrator. By the way, hi Michelle, nice to see you here with us. So when we were talking about IDML, Anne, and that's why I thought that Anne has probably created a package but then just shared certain items from the package. She should have shared the entire folder with me. The package allows you to create a template, so you will be able to open the file many times, and you will not edit and modify the original one. So it will create a new file every time that you access the template. I'm going to show you how that looks like in just a second. Make sure that you click on package and then click on OK. Of course, it's giving me all the warning that we have all these missing font and images. I'm just going to override it at the moment because I'm already aware that the font is missing. We're going to try to resolve that in just a second, even if although I can see the time going very fast. And I'm just going to open the IDML file that Anne has created for me. And see the difference is that here you're going to be able to open the file and it will come as a new reading file that you'll be able to edit and modify. So we have the main InDesign file, and if you edit the main InDesign file and you save it, you will create changes. So you will save any changes and it will override your previous version of the file. While if you start from an IDML file, every time that you open it, you'll have a brand new file ready to start and edit. That will enable you to create multiple versions of the file without overriding the original one. Okay.
Kladi, one question here regarding fonts. Hillary's asking, question about packaging files for clients. When fonts come from Adobe fonts, since Adobe fonts are cloud-based, I feel like I can't use Adobe fonts for clients who don't have an Adobe subscription.
Well, the answer there is pretty easy. If they don't have an Adobe subscription, they will not open the file in InDesign. So if they will not open the file in InDesign, there is no need for them to modify the file. So what they will need is a PDF version of the file. And if they do need the file to send it to someone who will have to edit, maybe another designer, they will have to have InDesign in their machine, and therefore the Creative Cloud font subscription and all the amazing font library will come automatically with the Creative Cloud. So if you have InDesign, you're going to have the Creative Cloud font library working. So don't worry about that unless someone just want to preview the file. In this case, we have a fantastic way of doing that, which is the amazing Share for Review, which was released last year. Actually, it was a June release. I believe it was a June 2020 release. I remember doing a stream with Giovanna here in Manchester. That allows you to do a share for review. So let me know. I don't know who asked the question, Jesús.
It was Hillary.
Hillary, let me know if you share it, your file with your clients for review. If so, I can show you a fantastic way to share the file with them online. And perhaps let me just do that, because it looks like the packaging is getting a little stuck, because for InDesign is aware that we have so many document missings. So I'm just gonna click on cancel for now, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward.
Maybe you because Steve asked something in reply to Hillary, and maybe you can add to his comment.
Sure.
Steve said it seems odd to share the entire InDesign files with a client. All they need is a finished product. Yeah. So I guess the question to you, Kladi, is: do you ever share the InDesign files with a client, or what do you ever have that need, and if so, why?
So that's a very good question. The only time that I ever had to share a file is when the client has an internal marketing team, so other designer that will use my file as a template to move forward and perhaps edit information. So what I will do, I'll create paragraph style, I'll create the main layout, use the master pages, and then they will have an internal designer that would just roll it out. And usually those are called creative art workers. So they're people that have amazing skills using the apps, but not necessarily the eye or the desire to create designs from scratch. So they are usually working in-house, and that will be the reason why I will share an original InDesign file. So it looks like I try to get too many an existing link to work in here. Let's see if we can get it to work, or perhaps I can quit it and start it again. Oh, we got it to work. Fantastic. So what I wanted to share, and I think that's a great time to do that, is how to share your file for review. So if you are in a place in which you haven't finished, but you want to show your client what you're doing, there is a fantastic way to do so in InDesign called Share for Review. As I mentioned, this amazing feature was launched last year in June with a June 2020 release of InDesign, and will allow you to share your file online. That means that your clients, your peers, and your colleagues, because I've been using that internally in the studio so much with the amazing Maria Deli Giorgi, that is always my super amazing designer here in Manchester. We work together so much, and sometimes I travel, I'm in Italy, I can be in San Francisco, and from my phone, thanks to Share for Review, I can edit the file together with her. In order to share your file for review, all you have to do is to click on the little box with the upload arrow and up pointing arrow, and I can click here for you to see it, where it says
Kladi,
share.
Sorry for interrupting. There's another question, and I think it's related, and if it's not, just answer it later. But the question is from Dorina: how do you embed fonts in the package? So I'm assuming that this is going to cover it, correct? What you're describing?
That was what we were doing before. So the reason why it was embedding it is because we don't have the fonts. So what I can do here is to real quick, perhaps head to our pages. Let's see if I can go under window, and there we go. Let me just grab the paragraph style here from the properties. I'm just a little concerned of what's going on here in InDesign. Let me close this file, and hopefully we can access the file a little bit better. Okay, that looks like it's working now. So when you choose Windows and then Styles under Paragraph Style, you're going to be able to access the paragraph styles. And once you click on the actual text, so you'll be able to see which paragraph style is in use. If there is any paragraph style in use, it will highlight inside the paragraph style panel. So from here, we'll be able to double click in order to edit the options from the paragraph style options panel by clicking on the basic character formats tab. And here we can go ahead and choose perhaps a font that is actually inside my machine. So let's see if I have edit.regular here and click on OK, and you will be updated all over the file. And that's another fantastic reason why it's so important to use paragraph style. If you have an emergency, like you gotta work so fast and you don't have the fonts, by changing and double clicking the paragraph style, you're gonna be able, or the character styles as well, you're gonna be able to override any changes you may have. And just by changing one single element on the paragraph style, so you can see I've double click on the text, I identify which paragraph style was applied to it, double click on the paragraph style to access the option, went into basic character formats and selected any font of choice that I could update it with, and then simply click on OK, and the file will be automatically updated throughout the document. So we don't have the pink anymore, wherever the text was applied, and we actually have is being replaced with the actual text, just like so.
And Kladi, I just realized we have 2 minutes.
I know, I'm trying. That's why I'm trying to speak so fast. So once you have your file, and in this case you go and use the amazing shortcut Shift Option Command P, it will tell you the number of fonts that are going to be saved and they're going to be actually embedded, and the one that are still not found. So that will happen automatically. Again, I'm going to do it one more time. When you click package, you make sure that you save your publication, and then once you click on save, you will be able to click copy fonts. So that's exactly where the little tick is. Copy fonts is part of the process. You're gonna find these options once you start to create the package. So InDesign will do all the work for you. In the last minute, I really wanted to show you the share for review feature that I was mentioning above. Click on the share button and then simply share for review. All you have to do here is to add the email of your client, of your director, or your colleague, and you'll be able to create a document that will be reviewing online. But don't worry, we're going to be here tomorrow for more rework it, definitely with more time. I'm going to start where I left it today. So if you're curious to learn more about a share for review, maybe Jesus, you can review the file as well. We can do a little bit of back and forth between.
Yeah, we can do it tomorrow for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. And don't forget to share your file, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, we got cut off.